of the Adrian Ross Show. And I'm going to start by saying I just returned home. I've been out all day, had church this morning, and then went over to the movie theater for Jesus Revolution. My friend Christy King has a life group of various ladies from various churches. And a bunch of us ladies met at the theater and we watched Jesus Revolution. So obviously I am doing this episode on Sunday evening. Wow. I just want to say, if you have not seen Jesus Revolution, if you have not planned on seeing Jesus Revolution, change your plans. Go see it. It's a powerful movie. And I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to ruin it. Just as I had said to someone the other night, I said, don't say anything. I didn't even watch the trailer. Actually, I knew what the movie was about, but I chose not to watch the trailer. And so I said to a friend, don't say anything. She says, oh, no, I'm not saying anything. And so I just want to say, go watch the movie. It wrecked me at one point. I mean, just the tears, it just wrecked me. And I don't like crying in public, but it did. It wrecked me, and it almost wrecked me in a few places, but I managed to reel it in. But it is worth seeing. Please go support Jesus Revolution. God is moving, and he has been moving, obviously, as this movie says, and he is still moving. There is a move of the Spirit and a shift in the Spirit. And I just would love for you to go see this movie and to go with a bunch of people. And I understand these movies are being packed out, so you'd want to pre-order your tickets. All right, so there's that. I'm hoping in the next week or two to actually have someone on this show who was with us today, who's a part of Christy's life group, and she was a part of this Jesus Revolution. Her husband was, she was, and so I'm hoping to have her on to share her story, because I'm sure it's going to be like, wow, for many people to hear from someone who was right in the thick of it and a part of it in a big way. So we'll talk to her hopefully in the next week or two. Okay, so let's transition to today. Today's episode is a topic that's an unfortunate topic, because it's just, when you start to think about what is going on in the world, why so much friction between people, why can't we seem to get it together as a country? And this that I'm going to share is a huge part of the problem. Okay, I posted a few days ago two videos that highlight former President Donald Trump and how he helped the people of East Palestine. Obviously, the train derailment you've heard about, and therefore the fumes and the toxic stuff going up in the air, and the whole issue with needing clean water, and that the whole thing, I'm sure you either followed or heard tidbits about. But President Trump showed up there, and he brought a bunch of water, bottled water for the people there. And then he also went to McDonald's, and he treated the people there with McDonald's, and he really helped. And so I just posted the two videos, and my caption said something about leaders lead, and I said how I was grateful for the leadership of President Trump in this situation, and for his obvious compassion in this situation, and that I'm sure that the people there are also very grateful for his compassion and his help. Well, interesting. On Instagram, I get a lot of likes and a lot of positive comments, because this is obviously a great thing when people are hurting and people are in need for someone to step up and lead in this way. It's a good thing. And so people responded that way. But I had a comment from someone who said something like, I bet you the water is poisonous or, toxic, and it's probably expired 13 years and it's toxic, and they'd probably be better off with the tap water that they have. And I mean, this whole thing, which is absolutely ridiculous, right? But the person obviously felt the need to diminish what the former president did. And that's what I say when I say this is part of the problem, because here Trump is doing good. And the best someone has to come up with to demean him and to diminish what he did was to say, well, they'd probably be better off drinking the water because the water he said is probably toxic from the plastics and all this other nonsense. It's really sad. Okay. All right. So there was that. Then there's this other situation still on Instagram where someone, puts these laughter emojis. So I commented and I said, this is someone I know from many years ago. And I said, what, you don't like clean water or something like that? I may get some of these quotes wrong. I don't remember exactly word for word how the conversation went, but I'm going to give you the gist of it. Okay. So what, I said, you don't like clean water? Anyway, the person went on to send me a link. I didn't know what the link was about, but hey, I get to the link. I'm reading it. It is basically a smart aleck way of saying that there was a derailment in 2017 when President Trump was in office and he didn't do anything about it. Something like that. I don't honestly know the situation. I don't recall the situation. I don't know. But basically, the person who left this comment wants to push me in a corner and wants to ask me if I think that was wrong. So my comment was that, you know what? Unlike some people who are ultra partisan, I'm not one of those people. I prefer to side on what is right rather than political parties. And so I said, well, I mean, I don't know about that situation. I don't recall it, but and I'm not ultra partisan. So what is wrong is wrong. Yeah. And what is right is right. So, does that suffice, or do you want to push me in a corner even more? And so from my perspective, I was answering the question. Look, I don't know what happened, but yeah, I ended up saying this, if what was done, or if the president didn't do something that he had the means to do to help people in a situation like that, then absolutely he should have done it. So yeah, that's wrong, But I didn't at first come out and just say that. I was like, well, what's wrong is wrong, what's right is right. I'm not an ultra partisan. I can say that. Comes back, instead of saying, oh, wow, I'm glad that you could say that, comes back with, well, let me tell you what ultra partisanship is. And, you didn't come out and say that it was wrong. So, and I'm like, oh, well, I thought I was clear, because I did. I thought that, that by saying what I said, that it was clear that I was saying that if you could have helped and you didn't, then it's wrong. So I said, oh, well, I thought it was clear. I said, so absolutely, sure. I said, I don't know the situation, but absolutely. If he could have done something and he chose not to do it, then yeah, I think that's wrong. So instead of that being the end of it, it goes on. He's determined to fight with someone who's not trying to fight, obviously, who agreed that if it is what this link is suggesting it is, and what he's suggesting, that if that actually is the case, and there was something that could have been done that was just, and president and his administration just looked the other way, then that's wrong. I thought that was clear, but no. So he wanted, me to say this is wrong from 2017. So I said, well, what I said. But that's not good enough, because then he goes on to make a comment about, well, sometimes people's biases they're not conscious of them, and he's still on the attack. And I'm like, Look, I don't know what you're talking about, but it's pretty much a shame that your hatred for Donald Trump is so intense, okay, that you're going to fight even with someone who's agreeing with you because you're that much of a hater of Donald Trump that even when he does good, you can't rejoice for the people who had good done for them, to them. And I said, well, I don't know about then, but aren't you glad he did the right thing now? You know, but no, attack, attack, attack. Even when I said you're attacking unnecessarily, I agree with you a long time ago that if something was done, not done, that should have been done, then it's wrong. Yeah. But he continued to go on the attack. And I'm like, what is your issue? I know what your issue is. So let me talk about what is so sad and what this attack demonstrates. First of all, like I said, it demonstrates such an intense hatred, really, for Donald Trump. And I don't use that term lightly, but you know, you've heard of Trump derangement syndrome. Okay, this is a classic case of Trump derangement syndrome. This is a classic case of not like, oh, that's not my preferred president. That's not my preferred leader. This is absolute hatred, I believe, because if you, and I don't even know if the person would deny that. Okay, there are many people who just absolutely, they can't stand them. They hate them. They'll tell you that. All right. Now, I didn't hear this person say that, but I probably would dare say he probably wouldn't deny that, or maybe he would because he, you know, it sounds like such a horrible thing. But actions speak louder than words. Words said or words not said. Actions. So here is, here it is. Number one, the hatred for Donald Trump. Okay, because when Donald Trump does something obviously right by helping these people, and all you can do is send me a link about the fact that he didn't do something at one point, and it wasn't the current administration that dropped the ball back then, it was Donald Trump's administration. You want to point that out, not commenting on, wow, I'm so glad these people got what they needed. Just like the person who tried to say, oh, I bet the water is bad. That's just sad. And I mean, when I say it's sad, it really is sad, not just annoying. It's actually sad that people who need to be blessed, who need the water, get the water. But because Donald Trump is the one who gave them the water, there's a problem with that. That is sad, it's sick, and it demonstrates a level of, I say, hatred that is just, it's just off the charts. And it's part of the problem we have in the country. And he had also made some comment about, you know, not liking what Donald Trump is doing to the country. And I'm trying to figure out, number one, what did Donald Trump do to you? Number two, what do you mean what Donald Trump is doing to the country? What is Donald Trump doing to the country? And what issue do people have with Donald Trump? I mean, what issue do we have with his presidency? He was a good president, okay? Now, I'm trying to figure out, what is it about Donald Trump you didn't like? I mean, did you not like energy independence? Did you not like the fact that inflation wasn't through the roof? Did you not like that we were more respected on the world stage? That there was a certain fear even from some tyrants who knew that Donald Trump wasn't playing? I mean, what is there? What didn't you like? That he had great respect for a religious liberty and freedom, that he had great respect for the unborn, that he had respect for our military? I mean, what did you not like? I'm confused that he poured into universities, HCBUs, which a lot of people talk about, oh, he's a racist. I mean, really? And he poured into historically Black colleges and universities. Is that what you didn't like? That you didn't like having more money in your pocket? What about Donald Trump do you not like? I don't get that, but you're entitled to your opinion about a person. Sure. But again, when that opinion is so low that you would rather see people not have water that they need, or people not be blessed with the meal that he gives, that's some deep dookie. It really is. I mean, and again, and Donald Trump, I mean, he didn't even take a salary as president. Okay. I mean, so what's the deal? The deal is you've got such a hatred for Donald Trump that it has totally blinded you. It has deafened you. It has blinded you. And you can't even read straight. When somebody's agreeing with you, you can't even accept that because no, the post was about Donald Trump doing something right. And then people want to go and say, well, do you really think Donald Trump had the right motives? Look, Donald Trump is running for president, okay? If he only went there to Ohio because he's running for president and trying to look good, I mean, he wouldn't be the first person running for president to do that or running for any political office to do that. So it's not out of the norm for politicians and candidates, to shake hands and kiss babies. I mean, it really isn't. So, I mean, that's not reason enough that you should want these people to go without water. I mean, he wouldn't be the first. I'm inclined to believe that Donald Trump, which a lot of people were inclined to believe until he was running for president and beat out Hillary Clinton, who was their hopeful. I mean, I'm inclined to say that there were people who knew that Donald Trump was a generous man. So I don't know that he was only doing it because he's running for president. I have a feeling he has a track record of doing good things for people and being generous with what God has blessed him with. But again, even if he was only doing it to look good, if I'm the person getting it, I don't really care. If I need water, I don't care why you're giving it to me, right? Just give me the water. But they wouldn't be able to see if Donald Trump was doing it for the right reasons because the hatred is blinding. That's what it does. So instead of commenting about the good of it, you can't do that because you can't stand Donald Trump. So you can't see any good in it. And that's what's the problem with the country about why people refuse to work together, even on issues where we can work together. There are things that, the left and the right, they're not going to get together on because they're not going to compromise on because it's about principle. I hope. I mean, it's hard sometimes to think about politicians doing things on principle. But there are some things that you're not going to agree on. You're going to fight each other on, and you should, because like I say, there's a difference between light and darkness. So all these people who say, oh, this particular person is so polarizing. I'm like, yeah, because light and darkness don't intermingle. Okay? And so there are some things we can't agree on, but there are some things that we should be able to agree on. And it is always right to do the right thing. And so giving these people water and blessing people with a meal, and all you can say is, oh, Donald Trump didn't do that in 2017 or whatever. So the hatred is the first part. The second thing that is obvious is that I get sent the link about the fact, the link was basically pretending that it was such a horrible thing for someone not to help these people who were dealing with this derailment. It was like a setup. It was supposed to be a setup because then they shifted and said, wasn't that a horrible thing for this administration? Well, it wasn't this administration. It was Donald Trump's administration who did it, So it was like a little setup. It was supposed to be this little tricky thing. So what does that show? Like I said, the second thing it shows is this. This person knows that this current administration should have done something sooner, but did not. What was this administration doing? Where was our current president during this time? He's over in Ukraine. Okay. Now, my post, I could have put that on blast, pointed that out. I chose not to. I didn't make it about what this administration did not do at all. I said leaders lead. This person obviously understands what I did not say. This person understands that a true leader should have taken care of business, but did not. So this person decided to make it political because the person whose camp he's obviously in didn't do jack except go to another country where our taxpayer dollars are going, billions going there, repeatedly sending money to them, interested in making sure their borders, that, they're safe, but everybody can flood into our border, but they don't like Trump. Again, what is it you don't like about Trump? America first? Isn't that what you take an oath to look after? America first? That's what Trump is about, but they can't stand that. I didn't point that out though. I didn't point out the fact that President Biden's over in Ukraine with our money. I didn't. But this person knows that Trump was doing as a private citizen. He holds no political office. As a private citizen, he did what this administration had not done. And this person recognizes that when I said leaders lead and I pointed out what Trump did, this person sees Biden did it. And even though I didn't say it, it's obvious that this person recognizes it. So I get some link about a time when Trump was president when he didn't do such and such. See, the truth of what you know will always come to the surface. So in this thread, I get accused of trying to use reverse psychology because I made a comment that said, you know what, you're arguing and fighting with me for nothing. I agreed with what you said a long time ago, that it would have been the right thing if you had the means to do the right thing. But you want to fight. Why? Number one, hatred for Donald Trump. Two, because you know that this current administration didn't do jack when they should have. So I have to take the brunt of that. And I guess I'm supposed to be scared and bullied and I'm supposed to back down. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't work, okay? Because I'm not going to be bullied. I'm not going to be silenced from putting up a post that points out water being sent to people in need of it. Get a grip. Okay, I'm not going to be silenced because somebody else has a hatred for Donald Trump or anyone else. But I was accused of reverse psychology because I said, I'm sure that even though I agreed with what you said back then, I mean, you're still coming at me. I said, but you know what? You're going to still come at me because you have to have the last word, and you have to have the last word. So I'm sure I'll hear from you again. And sure, he comes back and, great attempt at, this reverse psychology thing. And I'm like, okay, blessings. That was my last comment, blessings. Because really, and I mean that, and I wasn't being sarcastic. You know what? God bless you. Because I wasn't trying to fight. I was being blunt and I was saying, hey, yeah, this is, I agree about that. Anything else you want to try to back me in a corner? Because see, I was supposed to say, oh no, Trump wasn't wrong. Trump was never wrong. If, and I don't know the situation, but if it was what this thing was saying it was, then I guess that would be, not I guess, that would be wrong. But when I say I guess, because I don't recall the situation. I don't know, how the media are. So I don't know if they were trying to paint a picture that wasn't there. I mean, you guys, you look it up and you see, but the hatred for Trump, I believe there are people who would be like, if Trump gets the credit, I'd rather people not have fresh water. I'd rather people, keel over because Trump. And like I said, I don't know what their issue with Trump is and, what he did to the country. Please don't tell me you're still on that January 6th nonsense that you have. If you got any intelligence at all, you have to know that Trump did not incite some kind of insurrection. And you should have known by now that the media were trying to hide where he clearly was telling people that they were not to be violent, but that they were to do whatever they did peacefully. But the media wants to cut that part out. They don't want you to know that. And we are so foolish as to think that a president of the United States would actually tell people to go there and act a fool like that. Come on. but it fits your narrative and it fits what's in your heart about him. So you run with it. So maybe it's the January 6th nonsense. Maybe it's the whole thing about, Trump called all Mexicans racist, or I'm sorry, not racist, but rapists and all that. No, he didn't. Now, Trump is not always, artful in the way it comes out, but that's not what he was saying. He was not saying that every person from Mexico is doing these things. So is that what you're holding on to from when he made his announcement to run for president the first time? Really? This is what happens. It's like sometimes with the Bible that people want to live a certain way or want to think a certain way. And so instead of looking at the word of God as what it is, as of no private interpretation, as the Bible says, instead of that truth, what they do is they decide what they believe, and then they look for evidence to back it up. They're not looking at it for what it is and then aligning their lives around that. They know what they believe. They're stuck on what they believe. And now we're going to try to twist things and pervert things to fit what we believe. And that's how it is that's why hatred is such a dangerous thing, because it will cause you to see things and hear things and believe things that are just not accurate, because it fits what you believe, what the media causes you to believe, what your deception causes you to believe, whatever. And again, you're entitled to your opinion. You don't have to love Donald Trump. I'm not making some endorsement for Donald Trump for president. I don't know all who's running for president, okay? I respect the man. He was a good president. So what your issue is with Donald Trump, to me, you either believing the ridiculousness of January 6th or the Mexico stuff, or probably for many people, you simply don't like the fact that his personality isn't what you want it to be. Many people are just like, it's his personality. It's his personality. And again, you're entitled to that. But I will take the New York fighter, okay, over people whose policies are off the wall. Do you see the direction this current administration is taking this country? Are you, and I won't even get into that. That's not what this podcast is about, this particular episode. I'm not even getting to all the ridiculousness of this current administration, indicative of the times in which we live, which it's a spiritual battle. And if you can't see that, God help you, particularly if you're a person who's reading your Bible, who's going to church, and you still think that the way we're headed with this administration is okay. God help us, So, there's a lot that goes on because people have blinders on, and they want the narrative that they have moved into to be accurate. So I'm not endorsing Donald Trump, but I'm saying that Donald Trump, he was a good president. And if you don't like his personality, then you don't like his personality. But there are things that are more important. That we need a fighter. We need somebody who believes that America first, who sees, it's God first. I'm not saying America above God, but it's God first. And we are, I believe, a special people. And I want to be that person, that country that's like a city that's shining on a hill, and you can't do that when you don't want to have a country. And that brings us back to this current administration. So again, if your hatred for Donald Trump is because of his personality, well, you should know he's a counterpuncher, as he says. So if you come at him, you should expect him to come back at you. And I've said before, there are times when I've thought that Donald Trump has punched down. I thought better to leave that alone. So I don't agree with everything that he says. I don't necessarily agree with him, all of his counterpunching, but I am going to say that if you're going to take a swipe at him, then you should expect that he's going to punch back. That does not make him a bad president. And if you would prefer this current administration over Donald Trump because he would send out some tweets that you didn't like, but he's doing a good job for the country, then you've got to re-examine that, I believe. But you have a vote. And you can vote according to your conscience, okay? But when your disdain for someone doesn't allow you to acknowledge the good that person is doing, there's a problem. And I believe it takes some self-evaluation. You know, even if it's I pray for President Biden. I do, because I mean, well, he's the leader, and you know, I want strong leadership in this country. Okay, so I do pray for him, and I pray for his health, because clearly there's an issue there with his health. Now, he was given a clean bill of health in terms of physical, you know, his physical state, you know, recently. The cognitive stuff, if you don't recognize that, then I don't know what to tell you. It's obvious. I don't like it. I pray for him, but it's obvious. And you've got to, if you are preferring him because you don't like a tweet or two that Donald Trump sent out, you got to re-examine. He is the leader of the free world. I saw a video the other day from the media in Australia, and they're laughing they're showing clips, and they're laughing at our president. And I think anyone who encourages him to run in 2024, I gotta go. To me, this is elder abuse. This is just jacked up, you know. And it reminds me of John Fetterman, Pennsylvania, right? He had a stroke, and so while he was on the campaign trail, he was still dealing with some issues, right? Some speech issues and things like that. And then he ended up recently in the hospital, right? And the result of that was that no, he did not have another stroke, they said, but he is still having some issues. So like, he still hears people, you know. Why is he running for the Senate when he needs to be recuperating? But he did, and he beat Dr. Oz. And then he ends up back in the hospital for whatever reason. Not another stroke, they say. But then the last I heard, I don't know if he's out or what. I'm sorry that I don't know that. But the last I heard, he checked himself in somewhere for clinical depression. And I'm like, see, why weren't you just, and I wish him well. I pray that he's well. But I mean, number one, DC would be enough to kind of make lots of folk depressed. God help us, right? But, you know, why didn't you get yourself together? You were having issues that were clear, but you had to have power. And so you had to continue. And now look, you're dealing with all this stuff. You're not prepared to be in office. And so this, you know, President Biden, I mean, I'm like, dude, just, you know, I don't want to say dude like that. I mean, he's the president. I want to say get well. I mean, or I mean, and he's aging. So, you know, maybe that's figuring into him. You know, I'm not claiming that for me as I get older, but, you know, he's dealing with stuff. You know, I don't think he should be running, but regardless, that's who you support. That's who you support. But, you know, really check your heart. Check your heart. Like, you would prefer that than a Trump or someone else because they are not in your party or because you hate Trump. Look, when I'm gonna leave you with this thought again. You know, if you don't want people to receive help who need help because Trump is the one who did it, because you question his motives, whatever, that's an issue that you really need to take to God, because you need deliverance. And that's just blunt, but it's true. Okay. And your anger and lashing out at my post, which is simply videos of the good stuff he did, couple videos, saying leaders lead, and I'm grateful for his compassion. I'm sure the people are, you know, and that bugs you. It bugs you because, you know, even though I didn't even mention it, you know, something said, bothered you because this current administration didn't do what this current administration should have done. Instead, we're off somewhere else taking care of another country's issues. And I don't say that in a negative way toward Ukraine. My heart goes out to the people of Ukraine, just as the people of Russia. Many of them, they're caught up in this mess that is beyond their control. And I pray for them. So I'm not saying anything about them, but I'm saying that we are the United States of America, and it has to be America first. And just taking our money and just constantly throwing it over there to the point where, you know, Zelensky, for example, he's like, lecturing on this, that, and the other thing is going to happen if the United States doesn't continue to give us money for this, ongoing war. I mean, come on. All right. So I said what I had to say. And I understand that, the person that most of this was about may listen to this. I don't know, but, it's not a personal attack on the person. It's just pointing out what is reality. And I was attacked, because of Trump, really. And so I do say, I don't shy away from what I meant with what I said, not saying it with hatred myself at all. It's just the reality that people have such intense, deep issues with Trump that it clouds everything. And if you want to know what the main issue is, why we can't get things done in DC and why we have friction even in families, it's that thing. It's that ultra partisanship and that hatred that has blinded people. It's deafened people. It is it's a serious thing. And we need to say, you know what, Lord, I'm not going to have that in my heart where good is done, but I'm so full of bitterness that I can't appreciate that. I don't want that to be my story at all. I don't want it to be America's story. I don't want it to be your family's story. This is a huge part of what's going on in our lives, what's going on that's not good. But there's hope. There always is hope. So, rant over, if you want to call it that. Thank you so much for tuning into the Adrienne Ross Show. And before I say goodbye, I want to let you know there are exciting things in front of me. I have an online column, as many of you know. It was AdrienneRossColumn.com, AdrienneRossColumn.com. That's my view, my voice. And I have now shifted to Substack. So it is AdrienneRoss.substack.com, AdrienneRoss.substack.com. And I'm very excited because not only is my writing there, but my podcast will be there, and it not will be there, is there. And there's some exciting things coming along the lines with some the podcast as well. But it's AdrienneRoss.substack.com, and there are several subscription options. I want to ask you to please go there, check out the subscriptions, and I would love for you to be a paid subscriber to help me to continue to do what I do, which is to bring content that matters, like this on the Adrienne Ross Show, but also through my writing. So go, please check it out and become a paid subscriber. We also have free subscriptions where you get some content, but I'm asking you, it is cheaper now than the original column that I had. And so there's something for everybody over there. So go there, please. And go also to the BMG Network. That is the BMGnetwork.com. Check out the other podcasts there. We are engaging, enlightening, informative, of course, and even entertaining. And like today, I guess more of a rant, but it needs to be said. And so we are willing to say what needs to be said. And so I ask for your support as we do that. All right, as we do that. So thank you for tuning in to the Adrienne Ross Show. I'll catch you the next time. In the meantime, go see Jesus Revolution. All right. God bless you abundantly.